So, I started this hour by giving you just 2 points, the 2 blue points right there. And you were able to determine that the slope, the vertex would have to be this, and you were able to write vertex form. I need a different form now. Colin.
Y equals x minus 3, x minus 5.
Y equals parentheses x minus 3, parentheses x minus 5. What form is that in?
Factored.
That is factored form. Very good. If I was to draw the rest of my U shape around this, it looks kind of like that. This is a parabola. And what form don't we have yet, Brooklyn? General. Do you know how to get it? Tell me what you did to get it. You multiply it all out, right? And what'd you get? Minus 8x plus 15. Negative times negative, positive. All right, there we go. Those are the 3 forms of an equation. Now, by giving you the 2x intercepts and telling you there was no stretch factor and that it was right side up, I gave you enough info. What's the easiest one to get? The easiest, it depends. It depends on what information I give you. Do you get if I give you the vertex, it's super easy to write vertex form? Okay. If I give you the x-intercepts, do you get it's super easy to just make the 2 parentheses? Okay. So what's the hardest thing? The hardest thing is if I give you 2 x-intercepts like this, and then I ask you what the y-intercept was, but I tell you, if I just put them 2 apart, it's so super easy because then you know the vertex is just going to be there. But what if instead I make it like, oh, how about 6 units apart? There's your 2 dots. Now, I will tell you, there is no stretch. And it hasn't been flipped. So it's a U-shaped parabola. But you can use logic to figure out where the vertex would have to be. I know you're like, well, I don't know if it's here or here or here or here or here. You can figure it out. So take a minute and work with your partner to try to figure out where would the vertex have to be if this thing hasn't been stretched. I know, it's not easy. You might want to start with what equation you do know. In case it's hard to read, this is at 3 and this is at 9, in case you're having trouble counting.
Is it plus and me too?
Oh, I know.
So you have to solve that out to get the.
It's
Okay, one thing at a time. I can hear from listening to the groups that a lot of people are realizing it has to be right in the middle of the 2, right? And therefore, by the way, do you know the name of that dotted line? Axis of symmetry. And what's its equation? X equals. Figure it out, everybody. This is not hard. X equals what?
6.
X equals 6. Yeah. So 6, right, goes between 3 and 9, right? X equals 6. Do you get that the vertex is somewhere in here, but I'm not sure where. But you can figure it out. And the vertex has to be 6, comma something. Know what I mean? Has to have 6 as its x. Oh, and one more thing. I said this before, but it was subtle. I said, don't you know one of the forms of the equation? Maybe you don't know vertex form, but you know one of the forms of the equation. Put it all together, see if you can figure this out. Okay, here's what I would have done, but I'm experienced at this, and you aren't, and so it's totally not fair. I would have known that this would be x minus 3, and the other one would be x minus 9. Now, I did give you that hint. That should have helped. And then I would have said, well, I know that x is 6, so I'm just going to put it in. And then I'll be able to figure out what y is equal to. Y equals 6 minus 3 is 3, and 6 minus 9 is negative 3. So y equals negative 9. How many of you figured out some way to figure out it was negative 9? Raise your hand if you had it. I'm not surprised it's only a few groups. Do you see what I did there? I just wrote the equation I knew, like you should have known this equation, because of these two dots. And then you should have known it was on the line of symmetry that runs down the middle. And so you knew it had to be 6. And then you stick the 6 in the equation. All right, now that you saw me do one, let's see if I give you another one, if you can figure it out. All right, so this time I'm going to give you the 2x intercepts. Except one of them is going to be on the other side of the axis, and that's going to mess some people up. And in case this isn't clear, that's at negative 1, and that's at 3. What would the vertex of that one be if it isn't stretched? Vertex is usually the hardest thing to get. I mean, that's why a lot of times we give you the vertex. But if we don't, then you got to be able to get that. Talk with your partner about what they think the vertex might be or how to get it. All right, by now, you should have wrote the equation for this, which, if there is no stretch factor, is as simple as x plus 1. Did you catch the plus there? And x minus 3. And then, if I know that this dotted line down the middle would be at 1, x equals 1 is the axis of symmetry. Oh, tons of kids today are going to type in 1 when they ask the axis of symmetry. You're going to get it marked wrong. Schoology is going to not like it. I'm warning you. You got to say x equals 1 for your axis of symmetry. Okay. X equals 1 is the equation for the axis of symmetry. So then you go stick your 1 in here. And do you get the only thing left is y? And I can solve it for y. Y equals 1 plus 1 is 2 times 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And it's negative 4. Raise your hand if you had negative 4. Cool. Then write the equation for this in vertex form. Since you know the vertex now, write the equation in vertex form. So the first form was called factored form, x plus 1, x minus 3. Then vertex form uses the vertex, which was at 1 comma negative 4. So it would be, let's ask Noah. Minus 1, quantity squared, and then what? Minus 4 is correct. Raise your hand if you guys had that one right. Okay, good. So you just learned the only thing you had to learn for today. And I just got to remind you of something I told you before. Can you complete this sentence? If they ask me for where's the y-intercept, right now it's not very obvious. Like, I know it probably touches the y-axis, but finish this sentence for me. The y-intercept is where x
Equals
equals 0. So you could put that into either equation. I'm going to ask it again. The y-intercept is where what? X equals 0. So you put a 0 here and a 0 here, and you get y equals -3. Guess what happens when I put a 0 here? I get y equals, what does it come out to? -3. Either way, I get -3. I can get the y-intercept by sticking in x equals 0. So what if I need the x-intercept? Stick in y equals 0. All right, so what if it's already factored like this? Here's a new one. Sorry, I'm wrong. y equals x minus 3 and x plus 4. And I want to find the x-intercept. I just stick in a 0 here. And these are called the roots, or the zeros, or the x-intercepts. And they are at x equals +3, opposite of what you would think, and x equals -4. But if you write them that way, Schoology will mark them wrong because it tells you must be written as a point or a coordinate pair. What is the correct answer if you're supposed to say 3 then? Well, it's the 3 is the x, comma, it's the x-intercept. So, I'll try again. The x-intercept is where what? Y equals 0. There you go. Okay, so this one would be at -4, comma, y equals 0. Okay, good. You see how you have to put the answers in as points? It's a little annoying, I know, but it does say it in a hint right next to the problem. All right, last thing. Let's say you're about to make the axis of symmetry for this one. Can you do it without graphing it? I can. Think about it. It would go right between them. Hint, try to figure out how far apart they are. You can do it by graphing if you really want to. You can graph these things. But I'm just trying to say you wouldn't have to. -3, +4. How far apart are they? They are 7 apart. I didn't do a nice one, did I? But you can handle it. What's exactly between things that are 7 apart? How far over do you have to go? 3.5. Do you get what I mean? You have to go over 3.5. If I have to go over 3.5, here's me going over 1, 2, 3.5. It would be at 0.5. X equals 0.5. That's the axis of symmetry. And some kids would be so proud that they figured out it was 0.5 that they would just write 0.5. And you'll get it wrong, because it's got to be x equals 0.5. The axis of symmetry. Math is a picky sport. I will warn you of this. Almost never do you just say a number. When you get to this level, and you're talking in the context of graphing, if I just say 7, like show me where 7 is on the graph. It depends what you mean by 7. So do you know what I mean? Like if you just are typing 7, you should be like, wait a minute. Anybody should be saying x equals 7 or y equals 7, or like if it's the axis of symmetry, it's got to be x equals 7. If I want it to be the point 7 comma 0, like you're almost never going to just type in a number. Because where is 7 on the graph? It's in a million places. Okay, so be careful as you're typing in your answers on Schoology. So you have the rest of the hour to this is an in-class activity. You should be finishing it in class. Okay, just get this little Schoology quiz done. Got a partner for a reason. Talk to them about it. Between the two of you, you get it done faster. Let them get help. If you're better at this, awesome. Just help them. And that's all I got for you for today. Oh, one more thing. I just remembered. One more thing. It's not like hard to do it all, but do you see the link in there that says hour 3? There's a link, and that's to sign up for a thing called Desmos. You're just putting yourself in my Desmos class. Okay? So click in there, just put yourself in there. They're going to ask you for your name, and then you'll be entered into my Desmos class. So that later this week, when we actually use Desmos, you don't have to do that and do the activity. Just sign yourself up for my Desmos Hour 3 class. It'll take you 2 seconds. Then do the Schoology quiz, and then that's it for today.